to order. Please stand and join us at the invocation given by Ms. Clement with the pledge, followed by Ms. Allen.
Our Father, who
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for notice of meeting guidelines, I will read those instructions later down the agenda when it's time for that. They are printed on the top of your agenda, are general guidelines. So we'll move to item 2, approve minutes of Glades County School Board meeting June 20, 2024.
Motion approved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Clement, a second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move to item 3, update on new elementary school. And I see our guys. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Please introduce yourself for the
Sure.
audience.
My name is John Wiseman, president of JP Wiseman Construction, and I've got Eddie Dixon. We're teamed with Culpeper Construction, who has a long history of building schools like this around the state of Florida. And so Eddie has put the team together, and so he asked me to lead this team. So we're getting ready to get started. We're at this stage we call it threatening to work. So we're getting ready to work on the project. But I thought I'd give you an update on pre-construction activities and what's going on. Brian couldn't be here today, but he's been great to work with so far, so you've got a good selection to be your leader on the ownership side of the team. So we've worked very well with Brian. We agreed to help with the bus charging, so you can get your buses charged here as school starts in August. So we've been working on that. So I brought a few pictures to show you of that work, so you can see what's going on there. Answer any questions on that. There's also we're going to be building a bus depot in addition to the elementary school and on the parking lot right here. So I could talk about that a little bit. And then I've got what's called a pre-construction milestone schedule that I can share with you, and I could leave a copy of that so you see some dates. I talked to Brian this morning, and he did point out that we did move on my schedule. The groundbreaking is shown as the 6th of August, but we moved it to the 8th. I did not make that change, so one error on there. So I think first off we'll start with the activity of the bus charging. Where's you got that? Oh, well, I've never used one of these. This is pretty cool.
Well, it is pretty good. Yeah, it's sorry.
These are high tech here. You've got charging stations at West Glades Elementary and charging stations here at Moorhaven. Moorhaven, they're right out here by the new bus depot. West Glades, we tried to do it as inexpensively as possible. So what I told Brian, this is a long-term temporary solution for West Glades, which is we put a crushed concrete down. We added about another 40 feet, so there's more room for the buses to. We noticed there was a lot of dents and bumpers, so buses are hard to drive. So we made some more room out there for the bus drivers. We extended the storm pipe out into the pasture out there. So how's this? Oh, there you go. So it's an electrical distribution system that has to be installed. They have to upgrade the power, both P&L over here and Glades Electric here at this project. They have to upgrade the power coming into the property because these chargers take a lot of power. So we put a new electrical distribution system in. Next page. Each bus has its own charger. So we put these chargers. These are pedestals that come up, and then charger on top of this pedestal. It's all pre-manufactured and you just bolt it together. Highlands company is the one who's doing that part of the project, so we just had to do all the infrastructure to get it to this point. And I believe they're coming in this next week to install the work over here. And then at Moorhaven, right out here, they're gonna come the following week. So we're trying to get it ready by the beginning of August. I'm sorry. So, next slide. And you just get an idea then of just how much we added in. We're gonna sod this bank to keep it from coming away, you know, if it rains. And there'll be a new fence put around, so it just reconnect the perimeter of the property. So that should all be done here over the next 2 weeks.
How
And,
big is that pad?
I'm sorry?
How big is that pad there?
Gosh, I wanna say it's 200 feet by 250. Basically, we put in new material from that, if you know the property, there's a curved, it's like the track there that's outside the gym. So beyond that track, we just put in new shell pavement. It's, you know, it's loose and granular, and it'll last a long time, but, it's not asphalt pavement. So, well, we've got it set up now. There's columns in place to keep, the buses from backing into these big new pedestals, so, you know, they've got it, pretty well. I'm not a very good bus driver, but I can probably do it. So anyway, that's the work that's been done over there. We're doing similar type of work here now, be a lot more, preparatory work for, the new bus depot that we're doing over here. We're gonna start some of that now. When we were doing soil borings, we found some muck, so we gotta figure out what to do with that. Which we got a pretty good plan in place, worked it out with Brian, the engineer, to deal with that, so, you know, we gotta take some storm piping out, and so we're gonna do that now over the next couple of weeks, and just really make sure that we can, put that building in the right way, so just a little bit of, just figuring stuff out, what's underneath the ground out there, so we're gonna do that now. Can you go to that? You know, Eddie, there was some question, Dr. Barfield and Brian asked me to come next Tuesday night to talk to the city council. There was some concern about whether the ball fields would be bothered by the bus depot, and you can see clearly we're staying outside of that area, and, you know, we'll be able to just kind of feather that together pretty well. So I think that was the biggest question, according to Brian, that was a concern, so we can answer that on, you know, on behalf of the district to let them know they shouldn't have anything to worry about. But that's the new bus depot layout. You know, we're gonna expand the retention pond that's right out here a little bit, and, just a nice drive all the way around for the buses, and then a nice new, bus depot. And this becomes critical to get built, because we've gotta get this built before we take the old one down, and we need that property there to be the new stormwater management area, so it's, you know, as kids trying to swallow a spider to swallow a fly, we gotta kind of go through that process. So it's very important we get this underway as soon as possible, so we can get all that done in time, because we need that old bus depot space for our stormwater management system, so,
Can something like that be posted on the website for the public to see too? I was just asking Dr. Barfield if that particular could be posted on the website for public to be able to see too.
Sure, yeah. I was sending all this stuff to Brian. He's away, so I was sent it to him this morning, and, but I can make everything available. And,
I have a question.
Sure.
So I know that, right in the corner there, they drive through around the,
here,
down,
mm-hmm.
oops.
Thanks.
I think, you know, we just wanna make sure there's room for them to drive through, and I'm sorry, I'm not good in the directions, right here,
Yeah.
right here, there's a drive-through right here. And they'll need to pass this, where our handicap parking for the girls softball field is over there.
Okay, I will have to look at that.
Okay.
But, if need be, we can have it be where they come in this way.
Okay.
But,
But Brian said that was gonna have a fence, so,
yeah, it's all gonna
Yeah.
have a fence, but I'll look at that
okay,
today.
thank you, thank you.
I'm gonna go out there and make sure that, and any of this can be adjusted if need be. So if it doesn't meet the requirements of the owner, then we'll, figure out another way to do it. There's plenty of room.
Okay,
between the, and this is the fence, and this is the drag talking about.
Yes, mhm.
Those, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a little road there right now, you'll be able to see.
Okay.
You
what
can
I'm
blow it
talking
up
about.
and you can see, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at this up close, you'll see that it's an overlay over the existing.
There you go.
Eddie, are you Vanna?
I'm gonna call it worse.
There's also a little plus sign up there you can do it with.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Well, that
go.
doesn't
Oh,
work.
look-
Okay,
look
yes, it
at
does. Okay.
Moving on up.
Yeah, it's right on the edge of the road, if that's the
This-
roadway,
This
see
is
it?
like coming in like
Mhm.
from here. That's
Oh,
Yeah.
probably,
there's the road.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
there's.
yeah.
so this is where your
It'll make it.
88,
Yeah.
I'm not the engineer, but just talking off the cuff, I would suggest the engineer may move that space down there. And that'll create less of a choke point. So,
Okay.
you know, but it's that kind of stuff we wanna hear from y'all,
Okay.
so we make sure we get it done, as well as we can for your needs.
Maybe you should do the snow on this.
I think sometimes they pull buses, you know, or visiting schools pull their buses in that gate also, I believe.
Okay,
Are they? I'm not sure.
okay, well,
This ain't existing right now.
and
Yeah.
Ron, I saw Ron, didn't I? Okay, yeah, between Ron and Brian, we'll take a hard look at that to
Okay.
make sure that, with the engineer, make sure we've got it right. And, you know, the engineer's gonna be with me Tuesday, for the project, Steve Dobbs, so we'll check on that
Mhm.
together.
This is
Thank
the
you.
perfect time to be doing that.
Yeah.
Right once we start, so.
And Lindsay can put this on a place on our website that's just for the new school.
Yeah, but once we get under construction, there'll be a portal that you can look at through a system that we talked about when we won the job called Procore. And Procore allows you to, set up a site for the owner to just a link to, so anybody that wants to go in and look and see pictures and certain updates, it'll all be there for you all to see. So it's a pretty good system. I don't know how it works, but it's a really good system. I like to work.
So,
So we'll go over the schedule now, and then, I also, this is the engineer drawings for the school. The most critical date for us was yesterday, that we were supposed to get our new construction drawings from the architect completed, so that we can go out for bids. We got them last night at 4:30, so we're on time with that, so I wanna go to, where's our, yeah. The schedule. It's not in the plans.
Were you looking for the Word document?
Yeah, yes.
Down there on the taskbar, there should be something else opened up.
that's mark.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go, okay. And I can leave a copy of this with you today, but, this is just a milestone schedule of pre-construction dates, just so you know what's gonna be happening over the near term. One of the things we did to kind of accelerate and be able to get done, create as much time to get done on time, is we broke the project into two parts, which the site work is out for bids right now. So we took the civil engineered plans and we put those out to bid. Those bids are due to us on the 16th, and we'll open them publicly with Brian. And then we'll start to organize, who the subcontractors will select to do that work for the various phases of the site work. And that'll all be done, between the 16th and August 2nd, where we provide an early budget amendment to the district, so you can see what the price is for just the site work portion of the project. And then we hope to start work August 5th, and that's a Monday, and as I said, we've moved the groundbreaking to August the 8th, which is a Thursday. So, we have some, nice reception for everybody, hopefully in the morning, early, before it gets too hot. It's always a nice event for everybody to come and see, because you guys have worked very hard to get to this point, and now you're turning it over to us, so it's just a nice time to celebrate your hard work to get to this point. The building plans, as I said, we got those yesterday, so now we start to look through it to do what we call a constructability review, to make sure that everything is, we think it's ready to build. In this environment, you know, with the contract you selected, we all work as a team, architects, engineers, contractors, we all work as a team to make sure that, that we can get things done the right way. So we go through that process now. You know, Brian received the drawings, keep saying Brian, I guess I should just aggressive. He received the drawings as well. When he gets back, he'll start looking through them. You all can look through them now because they're in your possession. And anything that you see, like the parking area that you were concerned about, anything like that, you bring it up right now, over the next week or two. On July 22nd, we're gonna put the project out. It'll be a public bid announcement, so the project will be out for bids to subcontractors. We're gonna break some of the bid, what we call bid packages, down into smaller components, so we can have some local people, possibly work on it. We've got a local site contractor who's doing just like bits and pieces of stuff for us right now, and that's worked out really well. So we wanna try to get as much local input as possible. We'll do what we call a job fair. We'll have to find a, you know, place to have a job fair here, but in about 2 weeks, we're gonna have, just invite anybody who wants to come and learn about the project and possibly, you know, put a bid in on it or possibly work for one of the subcontractors that are selected. Everybody will have a chance to really see if they can participate in the project. So that'll all happen. That'll all happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then, you know, we hope to complete the budget adjustments by August 30th, which is the end of next month. And then we'll get to what's called the final contract amendment, where we say, here's the price for everything. One of the things we did before this last month is we created what's called a design development budget. That's just preliminary budget, and we have figured out that we're very, you know, reasonably certain, it's just very certain, that we can complete the project within the budget that you have available. So you know, that's when we added the bus depot, so we can do the bus depot as well. And so the idea is to make sure that we stay under the budget that's been set by the district.
Amen.
So
Amen.
that's, you know, yeah, so, and that's, you know, Eddie's, you know, he watches over me to make sure that, you know, we stay within the box. He's been there before in that, you know, in the environment here that you're in. So, we're planning to start construction September 16th. As I said when I came a couple months ago, if we could start by mid-September, we should be able to finish by Christmas the following year. So I'm hopeful that, you know, we can set a substantial completion date of November 17th, 2025. And then that gives us a month to finish all the punch out odds and ends and things like that. Also allows FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment to be moved in. So come the Christmas break, teachers and everybody can start to make the transition, and first of the year, you guys can enjoy your new school. So,
Monday, Brian and I are going over to take a furniture tour, so we're excited about that.
Pick furniture out.
We're gonna look at some different ideas.
well, my wife will tell you to leave me out of it. So, any questions? Ask questions, answer any questions you all have, and we can take questions from the audience if you'd like.
I don't have any questions. Any board members have any questions?
I just thank you so much for the update.
Well,
It's very exciting.
We'll plan to do it on a regular basis. My general superintendent, Mike Riley, or I will come and offer an update. We'll also have a project manager who will be here, but we'll, as often as you'd like, but, you know, we wanna do it at least once a month, to come in and just update you on what's happening, and then also create the portal where you can go see what's happening, because, I mean, this is an exciting thing for y'all, and I get that, so we wanna make sure that you're informed.
What's really cool, you've got that website up and people can look at it, the drone, we do drone footage.
So, yeah, you'll see drone footage about every 2 weeks.
And it literally shows it coming around the ground, and it takes the same path. That's what they did, it was just the neatest thing, and people liked it. It's a good time.
Yeah, and one of the things that Ron and the maintenance people like, we have a program we call Hollow Builder on a routine basis. The guy literally puts a camera on his hard hat and walks through the building, so you can see like everything before the wires go in the walls and then the wires in the walls. You'll be able to see everything, so when something's not working right 10 years from now, Ron and his people can go look inside the wall and see what happened.
I love that feature. I remember that in your presentation. That was
Yeah,
really cool.
It's worked out great for us
Mhm.
on past projects, so.
Yeah, we're using it now in North Florida, because they were using it, so.
Will you be setting up like an on-site, like trailer, or
Yes.
where will that be located?
Mike is coming Monday to work with Andrew, you've met Andrew.
Right.
He's the big hulky looking guy that's next door, so.
Mhm.
They're coming next week. We have a plan, but now we just wanna verify that our plan works. But we'll have a large office, it's a double wide trailer,
Okay.
that we've got ordered, and it's gonna be here, I think the end of this month, or first of next month, but it'll be here, and then, there'll be a whole staging plan, safety plan of how things, trucks coming in and out. We're gonna, we're very concerned about car lines and things like that, because, when, parents come to pick up kids at the end of the day, that's usually when we're, there's just a lot of interaction at that time, so when you work in schools, we try to work around what your normal routine is, so that we're not interrupting car lines, so we'll probably be on the other street over here, so that we're not interfering with the current elementary school activities.
Where the new school will be, is there going to be a perimeter fence, or?
Yes.
And is that gonna, okay,
Yeah, we actually are adding in right now, just this week, a solid fence between that rental community adjacent to the property. So it'll be a 6-foot-high solid wall that runs down that property line. So, I just think that's a better way to do that particular piece. But the rest of it will be a chain link fence that will be you'll have a secure perimeter.
okay, perfect.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate
You're very
you.
welcome.
Well,
Thank you.
appreciate it. I just want to say one thing. This guy did a phenomenal job considering this.
I think that's why he did a phenomenal job.
This is Gator.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna move to, proposed amendments to the agenda. I did request that we add an update of our CTE funding to the agenda. Are there any other proposed amendments to the agenda? All right, do we have a motion to approve the amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Allen, a second by Ms. Prowant. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So, I would like to ask Ms. Sning if she would come forward and give us our update of CTE funding. We did have a discussion about this at our last meeting, and, we asked her to follow up with us and tell us what's going on.
Okay. So I am a very visual person, so I created a little handout for you guys. So this might make it a little easier for you to understand. You may get 2 or 3.
Oh. Thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh. If they're stuck together.
Can I leave one for Patty?
Oh.
Yes, there's one too. Thank you.
Okay, so the first handout that you see there is, the 6 stages, that I have put together for CTE success. And honestly, every single one of those pieces have to be in place, otherwise funding doesn't happen. And so the first thing is, it starts with the CAPE list. The CTE programs and the CTE industry certifications have to be on the CAPE list in order to receive funding for those. The second thing is course registration. So there are 3 windows where the courses and the industry certifications are registered. And I put them there just so you guys could see. It's October 6th, February 1st, and July 15th. If the courses are not registered, you do not receive funding when students take industry certifications. The third thing that has to happen is assessment fidelity, and we'll talk about that a little more in detail in a little bit. But the testing procedures for giving industry certifications have to be followed. I didn't make them up, they come straight from the state. So if they're not followed, again, no funding. The fourth thing that has to happen is the monitoring and the reporting. So we have to, I know communication has been a huge piece of everything that we do. And so there has to be communication between everybody. It's the guidance counselor, it's the data clerk, it's me, it's the finance people, it's the CTE teachers, and honestly, that's where it starts. There has to be communication between all of those pieces, and if there's a breakdown on any one of those links, it doesn't work. And so we have to have documentation and reporting of the industry certifications. And when we do the course registration, there's a report, it's Appendix FF is what it's called. That is all tied to that monitoring and reporting. So you can see where if there's a breakdown at all, it doesn't work. The next thing is the calculation, and that's where you get funding for the program. So each time an industry certification is given, there's a calculation that the state does so that the program itself gets funding. State statute says that 80% of the funding has to go back to the school. And so that's where when it's time to pay for industry certifications, teacher bonuses for CTE, that all comes out of that pot of money. And then the final thing is the funding, where the funds are generated for the program and for the CTE teachers to get their bonuses, okay? So those are all of the stages that have to happen in order for funding to take place. So if you turn the page, this is what the process looks like. The first thing that has to happen is teamwork. So we talk about communication, we talk about working as a team, and so the first thing that has to happen is the CTE coordinator, which is really me, will work with the schools to ensure that the CTE programs are on the CAPE funding list. I think it was last week I just met with Mr. Brickle and Ms. Cueto about the CTE programs that we are going to be doing next year, pretty much the same, we just made a few tweaks. And we made sure that those programs, the course codes and everything are aligned and they are on the CAPE funding list. The second thing, the second bullet that's there is that I will register the courses. So during those windows, and July 15th is when I will be registering those industry certifications, to make sure that part is done. The second thing there you'll notice is documentation. So I will make a spreadsheet because here's what has happened. Remember we talked about communication and there being a breakdown. So when a teacher, CTE teacher gives an industry certification, they have to communicate to the data processor at the school who reports that industry certification, provided that the testing procedures were correctly followed and all of those things that we've already talked about are in place. Right now, to my knowledge, now I'm new, but right now, to my knowledge, there's no documentation or no anything that goes from the teacher to the data processor other than a phone call that says, hey, how many industry certifications did you do? There has to be a procedure and a process, and there has to be documentation. It just can't be, I gave 4 industry certifications. Where's the printout of the certificate? And so that documentation, my plan for this year is to create a spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet will have all of the information for the industry certification so that there is constant communication between the teacher, between me, and the data processor, so that that is ongoing. It is shared and everybody has access to that, all the CTE teachers and the people that it apply to. On that spreadsheet, the student name is on there, the industry certification is on there, the score of the industry certification, pass or fail, and then a link to the copy of the certificate. So that spreadsheet will be shared with those teachers at the beginning of the year, and they will know, because I'm gonna go have a meeting with them and let them know, you have to update that. That's how we can report those industry certifications. The third thing on there is the certificates or certifications. In the past, again, to my knowledge, there has not been a process for a pre-test or some kind of way, formative assessment, some kind of something to show that those teacher or those students are ready for that industry certifications. They cost money. Some of them are $250 for one industry certification. So if a student sits for it, because someone thinks that they're ready to take it and they fail it, that's $250 that just got spent and no industry certification earned. So we have to, the process that I'm suggesting and recommending that we put in place is that they have to have some sort of a pretest that has an 80% or higher so that we can show that student is ready to take that industry certification. There are so many practice tests out there. AEST has one, TOSA has one, ICEV has one, Padlet has one. There are so many practice tests out there, so we can come up with something. And then the CTE teacher will have to work with the testing coordinator to make sure that proper assessment procedures are followed. There's a form that has to be filled out, the process has to be followed, and that comes from Florida State statute. The fourth thing is the reporting. So throughout the year, there's gonna be 2 spreadsheets. I will have access to one, the CTE teachers will have access to the other. My spreadsheet has the calculation. So I'm gonna use the information that they put on their spreadsheet, and I'm gonna transfer it over to my spreadsheet so that me and finance can do the calculations for the program and for teacher bonuses. And then the fifth thing is funding. So at the end, the district office will use the shared spreadsheet in collaboration with Survey 5 data to come up with what funding goes to the program, what bonuses go to the teachers. That final step right there will only happen from the teachers doing the spreadsheet and courses getting registered and all of the other processes that we have followed. Okay? Any questions so far? All right, on the next sheet, this is just information for you. Another thing that happens is that when students go through the courses for CTE, they have to follow a progression according to the curriculum framework. So they don't just get to take Ag Tech 1 before they take something else. There is a framework that they have to, or a path that they have to follow. So if you look there, you'll notice on the first page it's business. That is in order. So the students in 6th through 8th grade, they will take business applications. The next year, they'll do digital information technology, and they'll just follow that progression there. Over on the right-hand side, you'll notice the weighting. That's how funding is determined. So at the top of the chart, for an industry certification that is 0.1, for every student that takes a 0.1 industry certification, that's $25. I didn't come up with that. That comes from state statute. And then you'll see 0.2, 0.3, and all of those on there. So I share this with you so that you can see there is a progression, and also so that you have the weighting for those. And then the other thing that's important is that when students complete, they follow that progression in high school, 9th through 12th grade. If they take 3 courses in order, there's an additional 0.3 funding that school can get. Okay?
What does
So-
a .2 equal in dollars?
50.
Thank you, thank you.
And then, if you turn the page, and you'll see that, ag is on the back, and then nursing is on there too. And it's the same thing, set up the same way. And then on the next page is the test administration procedures checklist. This is the form to the state that shows our testing procedures have been followed. Okay, and one of the things it says on there is that the teacher cannot give the assessment for the industry certification. It has to be someone else that does not provide direct instruction to those students. The other thing that you'll notice down at the bottom is that the assessment cannot be given more than 3 times during the year, and there has to be 20 days in between those test administrations. So there's a lot, and if you don't know what those procedures are, then there's a lot of information. And then on the last page, this is the test administration and security agreement that pretty much if you give a test, you have signed the form to say that you understand and you will not violate the test administration procedures, otherwise your teaching certificate can be taken away. So that's what this form is for. So again, there is a lot in the procedure, and so here's my plan. I have already created binders for all of the CTE teachers that have their curriculum frameworks in it, so that they can see what the expectation is for their course. They already know because they've been teaching it, but I'm gonna give them a binder anyway. And then I'm going to include this little handout thing. And again, like I said, I wanna meet with them one-on-one or as a small group, whatever, so that we can go over it, so that all of us are on the same page. Because again, it goes back to that spreadsheet, that's gonna be important, because that's gonna be our form of communication.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I
This
was gonna
is,
say the same thing, this is great.
this is
And
because,
it's easy to understand.
yes.
Well, I think what has happened is, I'm a procedure girl, and I haven't seen a procedure written for this. There was a procedure, I'm sure, maybe, but it wasn't written, and for me, a visual person, it needs to be written, so that everybody knows, so that we don't have a communication breakdown, and so that people get what they've earned. So-
Agreed. And so for mistakes that were made last year, the year before, these procedures were not followed due to really no one's fault, just a lack of, change in positions and movement in the district and lack of knowledge about what procedures have to be followed, but you're guaranteeing, it sounds like, you're gonna really put forth an effort that this year, these procedures that you've mapped out are gonna be followed, implemented, our teachers should receive bonuses, and the schools should get their portion for any students that pass the exams.
I can tell you, I registered courses for this year.
Okay.
I did that part.
Okay,
But the problem is the other things, some of the other things weren't done. And as far as last year, I don't know that the courses were registered, again, maybe because no one knew that they were supposed to be registered, and when they're not registered, you don't get money for it, because it doesn't show up on Appendix FF, which pulls to Survey 5,
and
and
those,
that's where the reporting comes from.
and that's not a recurring thing, you have to do it each year, cause we've had
You
some
have
of
to
these
do it every
programs
year.
for 20 years.
You have to do it
You have to,
every
each
single
year you gotta
year.
reapply, okay.
And here's the thing, they tell you to, like on this sheet, you'll notice I put the industry certifications on here that the students are gonna, be taking. I register the ones that are tied to those courses, because if somebody comes up and says they can do that industry certification, I go ahead and register it, because if I don't register it and they take it, we can't get money for it. So I'm trying to be proactive in registering all the ones that I think.
So a student can take the test without being registered in the course, is that what you
No,
said? Okay.
registered for this, the program has to be registered with the state, which is what I do. So, and with that program, you register the industry certification that is tied to that program. So I register all of the industry certifications that I think somebody might take that goes with that, just on the outside chance that somebody, because there could be somebody. There could be somebody that, the WordPress, maybe that's not one that we do, but the student is ready for it, the teacher has noticed, oh my goodness, they are really good with creating web pages, let's let them try that WordPress. And if they do and it's not registered, they can't get money for it, but luckily for them, I registered it.
So
they
you're
saved money.
registering all the courses in these
Yes.
pathways, that's
Yes.
good, that's good. Do you have to be in the digital information technology course to take the WordPress test? Okay.
Because it has to be tied to that program.
And do they have to be in order, they have to be in order as they are on here, like sixth grade, seventh grade? So if I was a senior, if I had not taken, like, let's just say ag, if I had not taken the Ag Science Foundations class, I couldn't take Ag Tech 1 or Ag Tech 2?
You could, but you wouldn't get any additional money or anything because you didn't follow the pathway.
And how many, like, last year, how many tests were given
In what?
in the different?
I don't know that any were done in ag. I don't know about business because I haven't asked Sky specifically. And there were 7 at Westglades that did the ag cert.
I think we had like
20-something take it.
Yeah, and yeah.
We will not be doing that again.
And that is why I said.
Oh, no, we will
And
not.
that is why I said that this 80% on a pre-test is so important, because we can't just be like, oh, know it counts against you when you do that, so now we know.
Does it count against you in any other way other than the fee for the test?
School grade.
Yes. And that was a very tense moment in my office when, Tina came in and said, we got a problem. And because it could have, you know, their grade could have really suffered from it.
So if kids take the test and don't pass it, it hurts your school grade.
Because, you don't get data off of the whole class, you only get data off of who takes the test. So let's say there's 20 kids in the class and you give those pre-tests and 15 are passing all your CTE tests, then 15 will probably pass the test, so you'll have 100% pass rate versus like,
Right.
If you give the whole class, all 20 of them, and only 15 pass, then now your pass rate is lower. That's what they do in bigger districts too, so it's not a new thing.
So it's the percent tested
Correct.
that passes,
Correct.
not the percent of students registered in the course. So that's how it hurts your percentage, which is then tied to your point. So you don't wanna test, and the colleges have this too, I've heard of that.
Yes.
When they're nursing tests and stuff, and they won't let you sit unless they know you're ready.
Exactly.
Tina, what was do you remember the percentage offhand that we were, for this year we needed, because we had tested so many, do you remember what it was?
How many passed, the percentage? No, how many we need this year?
Yeah. I just know
Everybody
that,
needs to be hitting on all 8 cylinders.
yeah. It was a number that we were like, oh my goodness, because so many because I think the kids came in there and they thought, oh, I can pass this, no problem, and they didn't really prepare for it as much as what they probably should have, and they kind of blew it off, and the time of when it was gonna be, given, it was just a big, so.
I'm worried about coffee. The coffee is safe. Okay, any other questions?
I'm good, thank
Okay,
you, Tara.
Can I say one thing about grants?
Sure.
Only because this question has come up multiple times. So there have been times where people have been asked to get together materials, supplies, equipment, whatever it is. What do you need for your program? And a list is given. That list doesn't mean that you are getting the money. Doesn't mean you're getting the stuff. It just means that we have to have that list in order to write it into a grant. Because when I write the grants, they wanna know, they need a cost breakdown of what everything is. So if I am putting in there a printer, I have to put the details. Brother printer, it's $290. How many am I getting? 5. So 290 times 5. So I have to have the list of the stuff in order to even do the first step of writing the grant. So I didn't know that until I started writing grants. And so I think that will maybe help people that are like, oh my goodness, I got all this stuff together and now I'm not even getting any of it. And so,
Because what happens? You submit the grant with the list, and then what
yeah,
happens?
and then the state says yes or no. And so if I submit it and they say no, then we've went through me doing 63 pages of completing the app and whoever on the other end putting that list together, all for the state to say no, we're not approving it. The good thing about making those lists is I hold on to them, and when another opportunity arises, I already have the list, so I go back to that. Or if there's money that I didn't know or didn't get spent or whatever, I can still go back to that list and be like, oh yeah, they need this, so I can order from. So creating the list isn't a bad idea. It's always good to have it, but I just want people to understand I'm not asking you to do something and then, I don't want anybody to get false hope and thinking that, oh my goodness, you're getting that because I've asked you for a list.
So there's no guarantee they're gonna get what they ask for, but if they don't ask, they don't get.
That's exactly right.
If I can,
It's more like a wish list for budgetary purposes.
if I can add one thing also, with the new master schedule we're making, all of our career technical education classes, all those teachers will have the same common time period. I think think that'll open up the communication that Tara was mentioning also. Now Tara can come, meet with all of our career exec education people, and myself, we can all meet at the same time, say the same thing to the same people. So if there is an issue with the budget, if there is an issue with the grants, we can address that in real time. If there is an issue with the testing procedures and stuff, we can address that all together too, so we're all hearing the same thing. So I think going forward, that's gonna help us out in the future as well.
Thank you, Mr. Miracle.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
so
you.
much.
All right, so, we changed the agenda a little bit, and, we do have a section now called, public comment on agenda items. I know Mr. Sharp had filled out a card for public comment. Mr. Sharp, when you and I talked, I didn't have this on the agenda. I added it because of our conversation. So I'm gonna call you up now if you want to comment on what was stated, or hopefully it was helpful to you, and I'm gonna make sure that you get a copy of what we were given, so that you'll have, you know, extra.
Oh, he's gonna get it,
Oh, you'll get it again, okay, make sure he gets that.
And a binder.
Thanks for making that change, and, Tara, thank you for everything that you're doing. Tara's going to faculty conference, next week, and I very rarely take credit for things because it's usually not always just me, but there was another gentleman that worked here named Gary, Brakefield, who sent me to the faculty conference my first year. Okay, there was a lot of great things that happened at that conference as a result, kept me from quitting being a teacher. And, because I finally found a support system. But one of the things that I learned from other ag teachers was about this whole thing that we just had a discussion about. Okay? I can't guarantee you that this discussion would have happened if Gary hadn't sent me to that conference. Alright? I've been fighting for 3 years trying to get this straight on this money, and the reason that I care more about this money is because this is the stuff that my students earn, okay? We were promised that this stuff would be done for like 2 years, that people would register these students in the state or whatever was supposed to happen. I don't know what the CTE director's job is, so I can't describe it to you in that language, but I was told that would be taken care of. I'm a third-year teacher. I just wrapped up 3 years. And so when I look around and I see so many new faces and so many new administrators and so many new people, it's hard to believe that just being a 3-year teacher, I still feel new, and I'm like one of the survivors that like is still in the game. And so I really I said all that to say this, I really appreciate that something is finally being done about this, because I've had times where people came to me and I didn't even approach them about money, that you can spend this money, Mr. Sharp, it's already been approved, we just need a list, and then it never gets taken care of. And there's been no accountability for it. So I'm parting ways with that idea of free money, okay, except for the Perkins grant, which is specifically for CTE. Alright? And I'm fighting for this money that we earn. Alright? These funds are not easy to come by. Okay? We have a teacher who's either certified or nearing her certification that when she was in high school could not even pass the ag certification test. That's how difficult they are. She's a very skilled and excellent teacher. Alright? And I had a conversation with Ms. Tyndall, and I think in 1 year, I don't know which year or how long ago this has been, she passed 20 students. And so if you do the math, I don't know where the $250 came from, maybe that's for business or somebody else, but for ag, that's $400. So if you times 20 students times $400, that's the amount of money that she could have gotten for her program. Okay, so there's a reason I didn't leave. I wanted some kind of a system of accountability, and I'm not entirely sure that we still have it. Like, we've said all this today, but moving forward, what happens if we don't keep up with that? Okay, I've had a lot of unkept promises and things like that, and I just can't help but feel like if I didn't uphold my end of the deal, I probably would have been replaced by now. Okay, so I just wanna make sure that we mean what we say, and that moving forward, this will be something that happens. And so that's kind of an open-ended question, so thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sharp, I did wanna add, Dr. Barfield agreed that you and I and Ms. Ming could meet immediately following the meeting if you still have any questions.
Sure.
Okay, that's up to you. If you want to, we'll do it right following the meeting.
I've got time if we do it right after.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. It'll have to be short, cause they already had stuff scheduled.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
squeezing us in. All right, so we're now moving to the consent agenda. Are there any board members that have any items that they need to pull from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Proant, a second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to our new folks. Item 7, we already did that, right?
Since they're all here, can we introduce them?
Yes, absolutely. I do see another amended item, but yes, Dr. Barfield, would you like to introduce the new folks that were in the consent agenda that we've added,
I
the
would love
changes?
to, I would love
Okay.
to. So let's start at the back of the room and with our new principal at Moorhaven Elementary School, a proud alumni from Moorhaven High School. And he is going to be, he's already started, but is just working wonderfully with Ms. Story and Mr. Sam Thomas.
Woo!
Mr. Thomas, would you like to say anything?
Well,
Come to the
hello.
podium.
Hello.
Come to the podium.
Whitney said it's just like
Now, you do know that everybody is mad because, you know, we're taking Dean Thomas from the high school.
And a couple of them came to elementary school.
That's
event. So, first of all, it's an honor to have a chance to go and serve the students in the community at Moorhaven Elementary School. I was surprised and shocked, but happy at the same time. Still trying to keep a nice, cool, calm demeanor. But I'm looking forward to it. I've been working with Ms. Story, Ms. Humphreys, Ms. Pryor, already been talking. We're doing a parent night before our open house night, and we've had so many teachers already volunteer to come on their off time to help put that together, to get everything laid out so the parents can feel welcome, get the community involved right away, and just let them know what we plan on doing. Because if you know, last year, I mean, almost across the board, 41% proficient in all categories. Science went up from 50 something to 58, right? We had math, third grade, 67% proficient. I mean, fifth grade, 63. I mean, just great numbers. You know, looking at the data, my eyes are like, all we gotta do is just keep it going, doing those interventions, working with the state, improving. So now we get past just getting learning gains, and now we can maintain that proficiency, which will be sustained longer over time, and our community and kids will be successful. You know, keeping an open door policy, working together, sending kids over to the high school, so we're all on the same page as one team, working with Westglades. I mean, it's just an exciting time to be a Terrier and an alumni and just keep the great things moving, keep going for the goal. That's our philosophy this year. So thank you, and great things coming.
Can you imagine a kindergartner that gets in trouble that has to go to see?
Listen, I was scared of Mr. Ritchie. I can't imagine.
I was scared of Mrs. Ritchie.
Me too. Okay, in the back of the room is our new director of curriculum, Miss Wendy Mullins. And Wendy, if you'd like to come up and say something, you can.
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I wasn't sure I was ready to come out of the classroom. Now that I'm here, and I know it's been less than 2 weeks, I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I'm learning so much, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. So I'm excited to work with everyone moving
She's
forward.
also a Moorhaven.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
also alumni of
It's
Moorhaven.
so awesome when our kids come back and work
Classmates
for us.
and former principals and former teachers, so
I
I'm
just
excited.
talked to another Moorhaven High School graduate yesterday that's coming back as a teacher
Mhm.
after graduating, and it just thrills me when I see these kids that go to school here and go away to college and come back.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, and in the front is our new HR director, Mr. Radabaugh, Mike Radabaugh, and so welcome him. We'll come up and say a few things. And no offense to our attorney, Mike, so yesterday, Miss Shear came in the office. No dance moves. Miss Shear came in and said, Mike needs to see you, and I'm like, what does he need to talk? I was, was busy, and I was thinking she was talking about you, and I was like, I do not want to talk to him right now. And she said, and then Carl looked at me funny and I can't believe you said that. And it was this mic. So we have now our mic, an HR mic, and
bad mic.
And bad mic. That's right.
Bad news, Mike.
Bad news,
Bad
Mike.
news, Mike.
Thank you so much. Hello, Moorhaven, Glades County, Terrier Nation. I'm so happy to be back. I was born in Fort Pierce, moved to Nashville, Arkansas, at 5. Grew up there, came back here in 87 actually. Started teaching when I was in 1998. I met Miss Drake in 99. I think and stutter. So if you, I learned, was a baseball coach for Okeechobee. If you had an upset parent, if you could somehow get them to turn 360 degrees, they would actually calm down. They could speak better. You saw that just happened to me. So if you see me up here and I'm saying something and I spin around, just laugh with me and I'm going, well, I get there. But I worked in Okeechobee as a ESC teacher, math teacher, science teacher, athletic director, assistant principal, director. I've done all those things. Been in charge of
There you go.
Alternative ed for other districts, virtual ed for our district, and a CTE also. I left here in 2016 to my boys left home, so I said, okay, I'm going to go home to Arkansas. Stayed there 8 years and realized that that's where I grew up, but this was home, and I'm so thankful to be back. Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Barfield, and gonna smile, work hard to get everything in order and I'm back in line. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so
you.
much. Just to explain where we met, he was a teacher in Okeechobee County for social studies. Ms. Prowant chose me to receive a classroom set of laptops, first ones ever at Moorhaven High School. We got a wireless printer, we got a smart board. I mean, we were up and coming technology. So Mr. Radaball was the Okeechobee County recipient, I was Glades, and he and I both taught social studies, so we have worked together before. And when you told me he was your choice, I was ecstatic because he's just a great guy and he's gonna do great things. He's super nice, super friendly. He's gonna get along well with everybody, so I'm very happy to have you back.
Thank you so
Be
much.
working together again.
And the only other person she's not new to our staff, and she didn't just get hired, but I want to recognize someone, is Rita Story, because Rita is the assistant principal at Moorhaven Elementary, and if you know the story of Moorhaven Elementary, you know what's happened in that school in the last couple of years, and sometimes Rita has been the only stability that school has had. So she has done something that others wouldn't have been as strong-willed about, and she put on her boots, and she said, I'm here for the kids, I'm here for the community, and I'm staying. And we appreciate her, and cannot even tell you the amount of excitement that I feel knowing the two of them and what the that is going to be a phenomenal team, and I'm excited to see what happens at Moorhaven Elementary. So congratulations to you, and thank you, Miss Dory.
She's also a Moorhaven.
And she's also a Moorhaven graduate.
I had the honor of teaching Rita when she was in high school.
I learned math from.
All the math she knows, she can.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm just gonna say this, so we have, in our administrators, we have Lainey, Jackie, myself,
Rita.
Sam, Rita, Wendy, Jenny. I don't know who else. There's probably more, and I'm not thinking, are all graduates of Moorhaven High School. Now, there may be a LaBelle High School, but we won't mention, it's okay. You have to have one in every crowd, right?
There's also a Lewiston,
Oh,
isn't there?
yeah, we're close to, we're close to. That's okay. All right.
It's all right, we love you anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome aboard, everybody, and those of you that are sticking it out and staying with us, we appreciate you as well. This ship could not sail without everybody working together. So thank you all very much for the work that you do that probably goes unrecognized a lot. We do appreciate you. So we did have another amended agenda item, item 7.1, approval of additions to master supplements. So I think I need a motion to add that agenda item first of all.
Move to add.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Prowant, second by Ms. Allen to add item 7.1 to the agenda items. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So now we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Allen,
Second.
second by Ms. Prowant. Is there any discussion?
I just want to ask if this is, one of the positions, are we replacing another coach, or are we adding an additional supplement? That's for budgetary reasons. How many assistant coaches do we have? And is this adding a new supplement, additional funds, or is it replacing, filling a position that was already there?
I haven't even seen the motions, the agenda items, so I don't know.
It is not, it's the same, it's the same as we had last year. So we're not adding a position.
Okay. It's to add assistant football coach Jada Shannon.
Yeah, so there's five, I believe it's 5 assistant coaches and 1 head coach, and so she will go into one of the spots that someone came out of.
Yeah, that's not additional.
Okay, that was my question.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, general public comments. Carla, do we have any other cards?
No.
Okay. So we'll move to information items. Dr. Barfield, I know, I did change the date for the grand opening on my calendar. I know we had talked about that, but I wasn't completely sure of that. Are there any other information
You mean
items?
the groundbreaking?
Yes, what'd I call it?
The grand opening. It's a little
Sorry.
early.
Yeah,
We're gonna go
groundbreaking.
ahead and just start and,
Just move in.
So I think that, originally we had like a tentative groundbreaking, and that was added to our calendars by Jackie. So I can't remove it from my calendar. I guess Carla
Carla will
probably
have
will
to.
have access to do that.
Do you work on our calendars, Carla?
I do, I think.
Okay.
So
Can you change that from the
August
6th to the
6th
8th?
is on our calendars as a tentative groundbreaking. That needs to be changed from the 6th to the 8th.
Well, you can move to the trash. I just moved mine.
Oh, really? I didn't think we could.
Dr. Barfield, regarding the groundbreaking, I've talked to our representative, our senator, FGCU president, and extended verbal invitations, but
Okay.
are we gonna have a printed invitation that you could get to me to get to them, please?
yes, ma'am.
Or even an email would be fine.
Yes, ma'am. So we have, reached out we started to make, calls to, our congressional team, but we will be doing, I think Carla's gonna go next week to, Aleatrice's office and start getting addresses, correct names. We have heard from Rick Scott, his office. We have heard from a couple more. So, I mean, I know that, we were hoping the governor would be able to attend. So there's, you know, it's kind of with their schedule and everything. But I know we want to make sure we do formal invites as well. The reason we have moved it to the 8th is because we want all of our schools to be able to attend. This is a big deal, and $52 million is a big deal, and it's something that our entire district needs to celebrate. So, the day when all of our district team is together, we will all go over. We're going to have start our morning off in the auditorium, and we will do We'll do some recognitions, some introductions. We'll do some speeches will be given, and then we'll load up and we'll go over to where the new school is, where everyone else will be. We'll do our groundbreaking, and then we'll all go back as everyone and have lunch, and then we have a keynote speaker as well. So it's an all day thing, and we're going to shut down the entire school.
Is the groundbreaking 10 a.m. still?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that's, weather permitting.
So for our outside guests, it's gonna say 10 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other information items?
No,
Or
ma'am.
Any other dates? Okay. All right, we'll move to superintendent's report.
All righty. Okay, couple of things. Is there a possible way that the school board would consider moving the July 24th meeting to another day? I've been asked to attend the state board meeting, and it'll be all day in Orlando, and so I will not be able to attend the school board meeting. Is there a way that we could move it possibly to the 22nd?
Did you say the 24th meeting? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, do you wanna just see if Mr. Gressitt?
He's not gonna be here that
covered for you?
day.
Okay. I don't have a problem. I don't know if anyone else does.
22nd works for me.
So that's a morning meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
No, wait, I have that as 6 p.m.
That's a night meeting.
The
Yeah.
24th is 7 o'clock, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one, I'm sorry. I don't know how to operate my stuff. Yeah, that's fine at night especially, that would be fine with me.
22nd,
That
a
work for
6
you?
p.m. meeting.
Yeah.
Kim's gotta check 3 calendars here, hang on.
That's Monday, the 22nd.
I'm not that.
Monday, the 22nd.
Is that what we're on for a night meeting, right?
It's a night meeting.
Okay. It's okay with you? Or you're there now?
And just to let everyone know what that meeting is about in Orlando, the state board meeting, the state's going to be setting the guidelines for what the school grades are. So even though we've already done it, we're gonna find out what it is that we are, what standards we're gonna be held to. So it's important that we have a voice there, and I'll let everyone know how that goes.
Is that gonna be on the Florida channel probably?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So everyone's in agreement to move the meeting that was scheduled for Wednesday, the 24th at 6 to Monday, the 22nd at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And do we have to re-advertise that, Dr. Barfield?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so Carl will need to advertise that.
Okay, I was notified yesterday, that Glades County, was spotlighted in a magazine article. Mark Wilson, and I know Mark is here, was quoted and about Glades County School District launches mobile distribution route to feed more kids this summer. And I will give you all the article, but, a lot of times food service and our cafeteria workers don't get a lot of help, but, or a lot of recognition, but Mark is doing a phenomenal job, and he is really doing some innovative things in the cafeteria to make that experience for our kids, very successful. So, Mark, congratulations, and I will give you all a copy of this.
Thank you.
So, okay. Would you like to say anything, Mark?
I wanna know when you're smoking the meat, so I
Yeah.
can come up.
Do you
and
wanna talk about
sample.
that?
As soon as you say yes.
I think we just did.
Yeah, we did.
We just did, so.
Do you
You're
wanna
good to
talk
go.
about that, Mark, about the grill? Or somebody?
Mark printed these off, for you guys to take a look at. We didn't know if you would pull it, ask some questions about the expense. But Mark got that approved prior, he put that in the grant. Mark, you want to train No Kids Hungry?
It is a grant, it's a combination between No Kids Hungry and Healthy Meals Incentive grants. And, the purpose of a smoker was to add some diversity in the school lunch. What I wanna do is like on Tuesday, one grade level at the elementary school will receive the option of getting something off the smoker. And then on Wednesday, it'll be the high school, on Thursday, it'll be Westlake, and we'll go through every grade level, rotating it. And I just think, instead of the regular school lunch, they could come in and get barbecue ribs one day for lunch, which may build some excitement. And also, I've been talking to a friend of mine named Joe Urban, who's out of Greenville, South Carolina. He's the one that actually got the smoker thing going first. And him and I have talked for many, many, many years, about different ways of building participation. And he said by far, this was his best option to build participation, because kids were just living for that one day. And then it brings them back to see what's going on the next day and so on. So that's where it came from, and that's where we're going. So I think it'll be, plus we can use it for, at the high school football games, we can sell it at concession stands. We can use it for school project, any school outings. I would like to get with you on doing it with your ag team over there, Mr. Sharp. Okay, helping with this. I think that's right up your alley. I'll provide the hogs. And I gotta do so we're good to go. So, that's it in a nutshell.
That's awesome. So excited about that. Thank you
I
for
have to
thinking
say
out of the
something.
box.
I absolutely love hearing across the district of fun things that are going on, and, you know, people just digging in and getting new programs and projects come in. But Mr. Wilson has really stepped up and done a phenomenal job with the Farm to School. I'm not sure when all the information is collected and put out for the magazine or whatnot, but I am just blown away being able to be included with what you're doing in that and knowledgeable on, I mean, Glades County is really stepping up with the Farm to School, working with our local farmers and produce and vegetables coming in. It is so exciting. I love being able to see.
All for the kids.
It is all for the kids, and that's what we're here for, but sometimes the appreciation isn't really thrown out there for what you're doing, so I just want you to know that I greatly appreciate.
We have a
The
new,
excitement.
e-magazine coming out.
Can I show it?
That's not this.
Yeah, can I show it?
Yeah, and it's from a company called, Dick and Jean Cookies. It's a father and daughter team, and
It's probably one of the most exciting things that I've seen in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know y'all can't see my cell phone, but when I have crazy days and I get to see something that's going on in our school district, and it's just, it really makes you excited.
forward it to everybody else.
I sure will.
But they approached me and they said that, you know, they wanted to do this, it's at no cost. And the teachers can print this out and hand it out to the kids so they can see what produce is grown in Glades County. Just a few of them, but we have Perry Farms is in there, and they're doing the watermelons, and we have oranges in there, we have Brian Browning and his beans and his crops. So we're highlighting a lot of good local people, so I think it's gonna be a real testimony to what the people in Glades are doing.
And also, when we went on our trip, Rhonda Perry and Mark and I went out, the smoker and Mr. Wilson was like walking around with a superstar. Everybody had questions for him, and everybody wanted to talk, you know. It was your enthusiasm, Kim, is very much how Rhonda and I felt, because I can tell you that he has a lot of ideas, and it's incredible to see what he's doing, and I'm very thankful for him.
Yeah, I think only 3 districts
Yeah.
received money. 2.
Well, 2, but only one public, the other was at the lab school, correct?
But we were the only public school.
Correct.
Yeah, so if you're in the office and you walk into Mr. Wilson's office, it might say grumpy zone or grump or something, you gotta walk in there and talk to him, because he is full of information and very exciting news that can be, that can come to Glades County, that we can do or is available to us, and he has so many cool ideas. I love hearing all of that, but you don't know it if you don't go talk to him.
And he makes the best cookies ever. That's why everybody every year's on diets.
Yep, I just want you to know we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
I was contacted by Tammy Simmons about the Value Adjustment Board. Who is gonna be our rep for that? Our citizen member and our board rep.
Is that the one that Mr. Perry's been serving on?
Yes.
Do we need to, does that need to be a,
Yeah, she sent me an email yesterday and said, please, good afternoon, please let me know who is appointed to the Value Adjustment Board for School Board and Citizen Member before, as soon as possible.
could we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, or is that, I mean, don't we have to take action to make an appointment?
I'm sorry.
Do we have to
What are you-
take-
To make an appointment to the Value Adjustment Board, would
Yeah,
we need to take
the board
action?
needs to do that, yeah.
Do we need to take action or just
Can we
consensus?
not do it now,
Yeah.
or do we have, can we put it on?
Depends on their schedule, if I'm answering the right question.
Well, no, can the board nominate somebody?
Yes. Who hasn't accepted, is that the question?
Does it need to be an action item? We're
Oh.
doing it under information
We
items.
can amend the
No, it
agenda.
is technically an action item.
Okay, all right, so
Okay.
I need a motion to amend the agenda to add the appointment to the Value Adjustment Board.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Allen,
Second.
second by Ms. Proa. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so now, Jenny, you've been the one doing that for us, right? Or is it?
And I won't be on the board then, so I won't be able to volunteer.
Oh, darn.
You can be our community person.
There you go.
I would not push out Mr. Perry for love or money.
Does he want to continue? Have you spoke to Mr. Perry? Does he want to
I have
continue?
not, no ma'am, I have not spoke with him.
Okay, so I think the motion could be one of us and him contingent upon his, acceptance of the position. So that leaves Ms. Proant, Ms. Clement. I can't do it. I'm booked. I'm pretty full. I know you're
I'd
pretty
like
full
to
too.
nominate Ms. Clement.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you could volunteer.
Nominate Ms. Clement, Ms., okay, we have
She would be willing to do it.
we have a motion to nominate Ms. Clement.
If we don't have anyone else on the board, I am not sure if I'm up to that right this moment.
Well, Patty would probably do it in a heartbeat if,
All right. Yeah,
So
she's
I'll-
not here.
Yeah, there you go.
that's happened to me
She's
before.
qualified.
I really don't want to do it.
Okay,
My
Patty's
calendar's
nominated.
full.
All right, so your motion died for lack of a second.
Okay, so
Okay.
I will
So let's start over.
nominate Patty Pierce.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Proant to
Second.
nominate Patty Pierce, second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion?
And the other member,
And, thank you, and Ms.,
And Tommy Perry.
Tommy Perry as a citizen representative.
And both of these contingent upon their acceptance.
Thank you. Both of those contingent upon both of their acceptance, since Patty's not here either, so. Have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Awesome. All right, Dr. Barfield, back to you.
Okay, the, other thing that I wanted to bring out was the, according to state statute, and best practices, the yearly, I guess you could say, procurement procedures, and, essential services such as banking and legal representation, putting out an RFQ or RFP, for those people. Does the board, how do we go about doing that? Is that something we need to do yearly? I know we haven't done it since I've been on as superintendent, but is that something, where do we go with that?
I'm not sure I'm the right guy to ask.
Okay.
I have no clue.
If there's a desire to do it, there are RFPs and RFQs out there that other districts have used.
So, You were talking about the bank.
Well, banking and legal representation.
Okay, so if we think we might want to change banks, we would need to put out an RFQ. If we're happy with the bank we're using, do we still have to put out an RFQ? Is that something that?
Best practice.
To do it annually, both of those. I don't see,
Attorneys?
Well, you don't have to, it's just best practice, cause you're comparing rates and procurement.
That's a new one on me. Okay.
I think in lieu of our budget constraints we're gonna face this year, it's not a bad idea just to see. I'm not opposed to doing it.
I'm not opposed to doing it. I mean, you can put it out there and look at what you get.
I think it's
And then when it
fiscally
comes-
responsible to show the citizens that we're trying to make sure we're getting, for lack of a better term, the bang for our buck, for our services.
I mean, it's not a requirement, it's just business practice to send out but it's ultimately your decision as the board and the superintendent if you wanna send it out for RFQ or RFP. And then I just follow suit with your recommendation.
I cannot imagine the disaster of changing banks. Or attorneys for that matter.
But let me ask you a question, is that, are we looking at, I don't know, changing is a good word, but is the fees and the fines and that sort of thing, is
It's something that you can put into what you submit out for proposals. You can request certain items, and like Mr. McKinley stated, there's other ones that you can piggyback off from other districts. You can look at those as well, that they have forms that they have submitted and put out, and you can pretty much request whatever you want to know from each company that you're sending out for.
It's really to see if you're getting a competitive rate, right, in the marketplace.
And then you may find that, the service of, let's say, First Bank offers something that Bank of America does not. And you may say that, okay, well, First Bank is more expensive, but First Bank offers this service that Seacoast doesn't, so we wanna stay with First Bank. So,
Right.
that's where you sit and you make those decisions.
Could we, because it is such a huge undertaking, could we do it one at a time? Could we start with doing the banking one first and then, or, I mean, if it's not something the board wants to do, I know we're going through a lot of audits right now. Is it something that we need to put off until like even November, December? I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about, where we fall.
Well, and just because it would be irresponsible if we didn't, but just because somebody might give a better price on something doesn't mean we have to change.
Right.
Correct.
It just means we've looked at it.
I look at it as due diligence, we're working on the budget though, so now to me would be the time to know what our upcoming fees are gonna be for the coming fiscal year that we're already in. But, do you wanna leave it up to the superintendent? What is your pleasure? Let her decide? I don't really,
Doesn't
I'm
make
not
one
opposed.
difference to me one way or the other. You brought it up.
what do you wanna do, Ms. Clement? Are you okay with putting out RFQs for an attorney and a bank?
I'm good with leaving it at the pleasure of the superintendent.
Okay. Ms. Allen,
Same thing.
Ms.
Well,
Rowland?
I agree with Ms. Drake, it's doing our due diligence. We put it out, we see what the best person or institution or whatever is to fit our needs, and we look at it, and then we can say, okay, we're staying status quo, or we're gonna change. What does it hurt to put it out?
It's kind of like what we just did with the yearbook also. We
Yeah.
just did it with the yearbook companies, just to make sure that we were aware of all the products and services that each offers and gives our schools and
So we'll leave it up to you, you know how we feel.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
so we'll leave that up to you, Dr. Barfield.
Okay.
What else you got?
I think that's it for right now.
All right, we'll move to board member comments.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Um,
I am so
okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
I
No worries.
asked, each of the principals to come up to give a very brief, very brief, very, about their data. And so we'll start with West Glades.
It's a lot, so I made, Lainey made this. I can't remember.
Thank you.
Just some of our highlights, you can look at it later and peruse it around. Anyone else who would like
Only
one?
one for Patty.
We would be more than happy to give you one.
Don't I get one? Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Some of the stuff that we would like to highlight is that we've been, okay, we're using words like beat because we've been using a sports theme when we're doing all these highlight cards for our teachers. So we beat the state average in proficiency in 13 out of 17 assessments in grades 3 through 8. And one of the 4 that we didn't, we tied the state average, maintained 100% proficiency in our geometry EOC. We had more than 10 points above the state average in 3rd grade math, 5th grade math, 6th grade math, 7th grade math, 8th grade math, algebra 1 EOC, geometry EOC, and 5th grade science. Assessments where the growth was more than 10 points from one year to the next was 7th grade ELA made 20-point growth, a 5th grade ELA 15, 5th grade math 27 points, and our 5th grade science went up 21 points. She was also 21 points above the state average. We had some students who did perfect scores. We had a 4th grader who did perfect score in math, Parker Dillman, 6th grade ELA, Aaron Short, 4th grade math, Justin Davis, 5th grade math and science, and Jacob Jones, 5th grade science. Those students made a perfect score. West Glades Schools proficiency beat all the Heartland Educational Consortium part district proficiencies, not necessarily every school individually, but as every district we were above them in 16 out of 17 of our assessments. And the projected estimation of matched students for our learning gains was 62% in regular ELA, 52% in the lowest quartile, 67% math, and 65% in the lowest quartile math.
And the reason she cannot say what their grade is gonna be is because when I go to the state board meeting on the 24th, it's gonna be, there's several different models and the state is gonna be voting on them.
Yeah, last year our goal was 62, which is an A. We got 64, and we're like, oh, we're 2 above what we get, and they changed it to 67, broke our soul. And this year we don't know, you know.
We're not even gonna get, there's 3 options and they haven't chosen which scale we're gonna be on.
You
So
know,
we're still hopeful.
I'm gonna say this, and everybody probably will agree with me, that is so unfair.
No.
If I enroll in a class at school, at college, or wherever, I know going in what level I have to make to get an A or a B or to pass. This is like giving me the test and then saying, okay, we're gonna look at how you did and then decide whether it's an A or a B.
Well, I think larger districts must have lawyered up, no offense.
Beat on the lawyer day.
Because the new law says that by August, they cannot make any changes. They're gonna tell you in August what it is, and then they can't make any changes until the following August, and
Right.
it's gonna be stuck.
If something's made in September or October, it cannot go into effect until the following school year. So
Because
anything
I-
after your first day of school cannot go into effect until the following school year.
Because I'm sure we're not the
As
only,
far as school grade calculations go.
But-
school that was totally.
But if you remember last year, we were the district that had the points for the B, but didn't get the B because they changed it. And so that's kind of the reason why I'm going to the state board meeting, because I was so outspoken about, how unfair it was for Glades County. We had worked so hard and we had done everything they said for us to do, and now we are, here we are. We possibly have a B, and and we don't even know what we are going to be because we don't know what the ranking is. So
I think you should bring up the word syllabus when you give your presentation and explain. You get the syllabus before the year starts.
Well,
or
they
when it
passed the
starts.
law that they can't do it again.
Yeah.
And I think it was the bigger districts who had heavy representation.
So
and a
then
lot
it
of-
needs
and
to
a lot of
stay
money
where it
to
was
fight
last year for this
legally.
year. Yeah.
I think that they are the ones who, I think they got a lot of backlash
Yeah.
because, it was devastating for my staff who knew we had 64%, and we were, Laney had it almost figured to the 10th. And so this year we're close. We stopped at like 65%, but depending on what scale, we should be at least knocking on the door of an A or achieve it next year.
Tina, are one of the three models based on using the same scores as last year?
So one option is to go to the prior scale of the 62%, where
Okay.
everybody was on the same scale. One option is to stick with the 3 ones where there's the elementary, combination, and high school, I believe, model. Or there's a third option is to come up with something new.
Yeah.
So they have to pick one of those, and those will apply to our
And the
course.
first option sounds like the best for us, is it?
Well,
I'm not clear about that second
I
one.
understand why the state did it, because, as a combination school for elementary and middle, we're allowed to get acceleration points, and honestly, that's how our school's been riding a B, because we were like in the 40s in our reading and better in math, and so that was kind of what we were riding, and so what I've been preaching is we can't depend on acceleration. Last year, we finally broke into the 50s in reading. Our goal was 50%, we made it. Our goal was 60% this year, we got 59, so we've come up 12% in our reading in 2 years. So I think the teachers are finally seeing, I get why the state did it, and I think it's probably more fair because we're getting a B when we have less in reading than other schools
Because of the acceleration.
Yes.
So did option 2 say something about not using acceleration or continuing to use?
No, option 2 was leave, we have to use it because that's the nature of our school. But option 2 was that a 62, like if Moore Haven's
It's
the
the goal mark,
62%.
62 or 67.
Yeah, they'll make an A. We have to get 67 to get an A, which I kind of get why they did it. I just wished I would have known that.
They moved us
Going
into
into
the
it.
combination school grading scale.
And I don't know what Mr. Rickles,
They're on combination.
you're on the same combination, so they would also have to get a 67, which doesn't seem fair because, I don't know.
So if you
That's a whole
don't,
different combination.
so if you don't have the acceleration
Nice.
points, you can get a higher grade with lower proficiency.
Right.
Okay,
But
so,
because it's because we have the option to get those,
and some schools don't.
yes, and when we were initiating change last year and this year, one of the big things that we talked about was, they're like, but we're a B and we're a A, or we made 62. And I said, but this is where we're doing it over here, in this one category. So I've been preaching, we can't rely
Count
on it.
on
We
that.
have less than 50% of our kids that are proficient in reading. We have to do something about that. We can't just say, well, we have 88 points in math, let's spread them out. And so they've really responded to that, and to go up 12 points in 2 years in reading proficiency, we're very proud of our staff.
And if you think about that, you guys and Pimietta have that advantage over Moore Haven Elementary, because they don't get that. So we need to understand that when we're looking at those different scores, that they have there's a reason.
But it's also an additional component, so that's an extra 100 points we have to pull out of where the elementary school doesn't. So it's just, they have 6 components, we may have 8 or 9 components, depending, because we have civics and we have some other acceleration and other stuff. So it's just, however many components you have, if you have 5 components, your total is
Still an
500
average.
points to get your average versus 800 points or however many components you have.
And this right here, this is a prime example of why data is very confusing for the general public. This right here, and school grades, it would be just easy to say we're an A school, or we're an A school district, or we're a B school district. This is because we're all educators in here, and we're having it's like you need a dissertation to be able to to interpret the data, and
Well, to
what
choose
she
which
says is, yeah, right, I mean,
You should advocate
Just tell
for,
us
Right.
yeah.
And, I mean, they usually publish the guide calculating school grades
Correct.
before the school year starts, so you know what your end goal is, but with the new assessment changes, they have not done that in the past 2 years, so we were shooting for like a blind target.
Yep.
Basically,
We're on a wing and a prayer right now.
but next year, this coming year, we'll know what our target is.
Right,
but-
so
we'll
I
try,
think
we'll try, standing up in front of a bunch of people trying to explain the accountability system, try doing that.
Because it's not fair.
Right.
I mean, technically, we probably, you know, Moorhaven Elementary probably at some point had the same exact reading or math scores at some point, and because we had acceleration, we were B and they were a C or whatever. And I see where the state's going with it, but it'd be nice to just kinda know, and apparently someone also thought that, because now it's in statute that they have to tell us in August and they can't make any changes after.
So status quo would be good. Keep the score we had last year. Dr. Barfield, I think that's what you need to advocate for.
Last year would be okay, the year before, it'll just be extra bonus points to add to everybody.
I want to tell you all that, so I had all the principals send me their back to school letters for their staff. And I absolutely, I almost, I don't know if I'd laugh, cry, I didn't know what I was going to do when I read your theme, data or it didn't happen. And that is so true. Data or it didn't happen. And I mean, there you go. I mean, but what I anticipate, what I interpret as something, at Moorhaven High School might be something different. It's just confusing. So congratulations, Westglades. You did an amazing job. I know your parents, the community is very proud of you, and your teachers and administration, you all did amazing, and we're very, very proud of you. So congratulations. All right.
Quick question, is Pimietta, so I just now am seeing that there's two different scales there. Is Pimietta on the same scale as you, or?
They should,
more?
Yeah,
because they're a combination school, they're a combination school.
Cause they give high school courses. And that's where you get your acceleration points,
Yeah,
one way.
we're at a really a very rarity in
Mhm.
Florida with the number of compo schools that we have, given the total number. Moorhaven Elementary is the only school that really is graded like every other,
Like a traditional.
like a traditional elementary school.
And someone made the comment to me, well, Glades County scores are high because you have Payneetta in there. Paymietta's always been in there. So, they're a part of our school district, and they are one
They've
of
had
us.
consistent scores across the board.
Correct.
But I was gonna say, if you wanna say something at wherever you're going, it's not really fair to put him on a 67-point scale, because acceleration is a part of the high school grade and the middle school grade. And so his grade, even though he's a combination school, he has the same elements in middle and high school,
Mhm.
pretty much. So it's not fair to put him on a
Absolutely.
67-point scale.
I agree. All right, Mr. Brickell, you're up.
Did you have another question?
Follow that.
You do it though.
You can do it. You got
I was ready for 2 or 3 minutes, that was longer than 2 or 3 minutes.
I know. and
Before the meeting started, I put this on your desk, you didn't see it.
I got it.
I made a whole bunch of copies. But these are the 5 slides, 5 of about 63 slides I'm gonna go over with the staff. The first Monday that we're back from leave, I made like 30 copies.
Thank you.
And what these are the scores by grade level, by subject area of what we had in 2022 and 23 versus what we had this past year. And as we go over it, kind of quote what one of my reading coaches said when she saw the grades, and that's that Rome wasn't built in a day. But you will see that the growth there is really good. The first column, I hate to be staring at something and nobody else gets to see it, so I'm gonna bring it out there. The first column shows the scores from the 2022-23 school year, and the next one shows the scores from the year that we had. And you can see that I put arrows that kind of go down as they go horizontal. That's because that's the cohort. Last year's 6th graders then became this year's 7th graders. So if you're looking at growth, what we like to see is how do the kids do. We also like to see how the 6th grade did. But if you're looking at the same kids and did you get growth from the kids, it kind of follows that little arrow point. So you can see our 6th graders went up 7 points in language arts over the course of last year, from 23 to 30. You'll see our 7th graders from 38% proficient to 51% proficient. Our 8th graders from 28% proficient to 45. And then our 9th graders is the only group that went down. It's about 2 kids. But that's something that we're going to address going next year. We don't want to see that happen again. In math, you'll see we went from only 12% proficient in 6th grade the year before last, up to 27% proficient. 7th grade from 39 to 56 as 8th graders. And then the next page you'll see on our high school math from 26%, this is, you can't follow the cohorts because it is Algebra 1. But our Algebra 1 students from 26% to 37%, so there's a gain of 11 percentage points there. Geometry dropped a point. That was a class that we hired FLVS, Florida Virtual School, to work with because it's just getting hard to find high-level math teachers. Next year we will have a math teacher there, Mrs. Ross, who taught our Algebra 1, is now going to be Algebra 1 and Geometry. So I expect to see those scores improve. It's just hard to put a kid in front of a computer and have them do the same thing as they do with a regular teacher. FLVS will tell you the same thing. And our 8th grade scores from 14% proficient the year before last up to 26. Biology from 43 to 62. So in other cases, we're looking at 20, even 30 percentage points increase. Civics went down a little bit, and that's because the year before we tested, they were specific in who they tested, kind of like we're talking with the CTE. If they knew the kid would pass it, they had to take the test that year, so they had 78%. This year we tested all of our 8th graders that hadn't tested it before, so we can have it a consistent score. So it dropped by, again, 2 kids, but not because of anything that we did wrong. They're just the kids that we tested. We didn't just test our best and brightest, we tested everybody. U.S. history went up 30 percentage points from 27 to 57. So we've got the growth. In many cases, I'm happy with our proficiency as well, but we're not going to build this in a day. We're going to get that growth until we get the proficiency to where we are. I don't think any of us are satisfied that in some cases 3/4 of our kids are below grade level, but you can see that we're working on that. We're fixing it. We're going to plug it away a little bit every year until we get it right where we want to be. Add that to the CTE that Tara was up here talking about. One of our goals for this coming year, as you see, give everybody common planning so we can start getting those acceleration points, getting that squared away right, so that we can continue to give you all the high school and the middle school that you deserve.
Mr. Brickell, how many instructional openings do you have?
It just dropped dramatically from yesterday. So right now, I think we're looking at 1, and it's Algebra 2.
And
Algebra 2 and math for, they used to be called math for college readiness, now they call it math for college algebra. But it's, again, it's your high-level math courses, and it's hard to find somebody that has the confidence and the math ability to pull that off. And so it's the same thing, every district is having a hard time filling that. If you can get a physics teacher, which we don't offer, but if you get a physics teacher, you can get a trigonometry teacher, boy, you don't let them go.
All right, so you have 1 instructional opening. Ms. Wills, how many do you have? 2. Okay, so we're under, and Mr. Thomas has 1. So we have 4 for the entire district. It's all the teachers we need, and I would say that's pretty good for our district and for the state. So congratulations to the administrators for pushing that. I want to say too about the high school is that one of the things that I really appreciate is that there's actually talk of data, and that you all are sharing these scores, that you're having your PLC meetings, and that there is a consistent look across the entire school. It's a wonderful thing to hear about successful PLCs and what's happening. Mr. Brickell, under your leadership, and Ms. Cueto, Mr. Thomas, you've really done a great job. And you're right, Rhonda, it wasn't built in a day, but you have made some huge gains. And what are you, even though we don't know what you're going to be, but what are you projecting?
I'm thinking we're going to be a B. If we're not a B, we're going to be a really high C. I mean, we were a C last year, and you look at the growth that we're seeing here, I'd be really surprised if we don't see a B.
Congratulations to you and your staff.
We're not there yet, though, but I had a really good team, and I want to do a shout out to that staff. I want to do a shout out to my assistants. I want to do a shout out to my students. It's a joy to be back. It's a joy to see these kids smiling doing their best to make a future for themselves, so I'm blessed. Thank you.
I love the excitement that you bring to the kids. I haven't seen one kid walk past Mr. Brickell and not give a fist bump or a, just conversate with them. A lot of kids don't conversate with their principals, but you make a point to acknowledge them every day, all day.
It's not worth getting up in the morning if you can't be around the kids and smile with them.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Brickell.
If you don't. Thanks,
All right. Mr. Thomas, you've already done yours, okay. So, and your projection is a B, correct?
Yes.
So, you're projecting an A? Fingers crossed?
Depends on which grade it's in.
Okay, so, Pamietta's projecting an A, so we're gonna be, it's gonna be there. And, what can I say? I wish more than anybody, I wish I could be able to say we are a blank district, but unfortunately I can't. But I can tell you that the general population doesn't know what goes into what these three principals just got up and shared, and they don't understand proficiency and gains and cut scores and subgroups and that sort of thing. That's stuff that as educators we know. And it's hard to get up and talk about that. And the state does not make it easy. So I'm really proud of you all. You all have done an amazing job. And our district is doing really well. And I love seeing when I go to places nearby, and not just Hendry County, but when I go to Okeechobee or when I go to Highlands County and I hear people say, oh my gosh, we've heard such great things about your school district. That is such a great feeling. So kudos to the staff, and it's kudos to everyone, not just the teachers and not just the administrators, but it takes custodians and cafeteria workers and everyone to do that. So, and that was all I had for my report.
Okay, thank you very much.
So,
all right, we'll move to school board, comments and business. We'll start with you, Ms. Burlock.
I don't have anything.
Awesome. Okay. Ms. Allen?
Well, she kind of just stole my thunder, and I never say anything, but I just want to say that I'm not going to say the word disheartened, but I'm going to say disappointed when I wake up in the morning and I see somebody on the book trying to discount facts. It's really disheartening. Every single person in this community, no matter what side you're on, and let's face it, there's some sides, every single person in this community should be so happy and so proud of this district. We've come a long way, baby, in 3-4 years, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of every single person that's put their effort in, from, just like she said, from the administrators, the leadership, and the leadership is where it started, all the way down to the lunch ladies and the bus drivers. I'm happy. I'm proud of everybody. Everybody's worked so hard, and everybody should be celebrating this in the community, not trying to talk it down. And when Dr. Barfield's reelected, and she's gonna be, we'll just say I told you so.
thank you, Jenny.
Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Clement, your turn.
I like to piggyback off what she said with all of our staff through the district. You guys are outstanding. Some of the calls I get, they're praising what's going on, who's working with them. They may have some questions, but sometimes they're the friction that's causing those questions. And they figure it out. It might not be right then and there, but they figure it out, and they are working with their own teams. And the curriculum mapping that's going on right now, I am so happy to hear how well that's going. Like, it just makes my heart happy to hear all the teachers working together, not as Moorhaven Elementary and not as West Glades, but as a grade level. They're just trying to do what's best, not for them, not for their team, but for their kids. That is excitement. And my most favorite thing too, today for lunch at the Heartland iTech is creamy Tuscan chicken with mashed potatoes and broccoli. They open at 11. So if you don't have any lunch plans, we'll see you at iTech.
And we like your colors.
Yeah. Well, my kid told me I looked like a honeybee this morning. I was trying to be supportive and, be a teammate, but
I need to borrow that shirt.
anytime.
But we sometimes forget that West Glade's not black and gray.
We bought new black shirts with blue so we can fit in.
Awesome.
Awesome. So the only comment that I have for today is I just wanted to, and Dr. Barfield, we talked about it in private, was contracts for directors. We had, we were gonna try to have those ready by July 1 so they could start the year. But you are working on that. We're gonna have them soon.
Yes, we are.
Okay? Great, great. Because, I think the board remembers we had issues because our directors didn't have contracts, so we need to make sure that we get that done and as soon as possible. We'd appreciate that. I don't have anything else, so.
I do wanna say one more thing. I'm glad you're here, and I'm happy to hear of your attitude, because I feel like that position really needs to be welcoming and listening when people have things to say.
I'm your customer service rep.
There you go.
Great.
That's my role.
I also just wanna add, I know, always, when you all say something, I think we've gone back and forth of when superintendent comments are, but, we met with, the union administration, or representation, this week, and we had a great meeting. We really talked about some things, dealing with language, but I didn't know if you wanna email me, kind of what if you had any thoughts or ideas on when you're thinking about, salary, or if you have language that you would like for me to look at. When we met, we really talked about, ways to make it just more equitable and fair, and just some really great conversation. I really felt really strong, excuse me, about the conversation, and, you know, it was very much a team effort, and, you know, we were all on the same page. I don't think
Dr.
there was.
Barfield, was Mr. Dietzen there?
Was Mr. Dietzen there? No, he was not. And that's it. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay, so we can have a meeting about about negotiations privately, right, Mr. McKinley? And there was some discussion last time about, they don't have to be advertised,
No,
right?
ma'am.
So, like, we could call one right now if we
We
wanted
can
to.
have one right now.
Okay, all right, so maybe, I'm not ready to have one right
Executive
now,
session.
but maybe have an executive session after
I'm
the
good with
next
that.
meeting.
I need to be done with this meeting at 11, and I know we wanna meet with Mr. Sharp, but I need to be in another meeting.
Okay.
And so we can go ahead and do an executive session, and then I'll go to my other.
No, I didn't mean for
Not
today.
today.
I didn't mean for today. Maybe the next board
Oh,
meeting we
okay.
could do one.
Okay.
And then everybody can have time to think about it and send you emails. You can tell us what, those things that you already discussed, something like that. All right, nothing further, meeting is adjourned.